Hi everybody. I've not made a video in a while, but I'm here now. Played some 5 and L. I've played a lot of hands again. I think I'm making this a habit where I just play longer stretches and make fewer videos. It means I can get more hands in, so it means I can improve a significant amount as well from video to video rather than just spamming them out. Maybe that works better for me, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it is better to just do 1,000 hands every video. Anyway, nevertheless, let's just get straight into our most recent session of 5 and L. I've got some fairly big pots here, and they're all quite interesting, in my opinion. Okay, so we're going to start off with the biggest pot. It's fairly standard, but it highlights the difference between the way I play and the way other regs might play. So we've got an open, a 3-bet. I called 4-bet to $1. About 2.2x is fine. Could probably make it bigger because we're out of position, like 115 or 110, something like that. Might be more, might be just better here. But this is overall fine. It's like a small error, if that. We get a call from the original raiser, so this is going to be a really strong range. And then the jam, which is also going to be a strong range. Now, when I rejam, because obviously there's no other choice but to rejam, we want to get the max value from if this guy ever calls. When I jam, this person with the massive stack really should just be calling with aces. The reason is because I called 4-bet. The called 4-bet in itself is really strong. I'm personally only really doing this with queens plus ace king. I'm not doing it with jacks, I just fold that pre. Well, I might do it with jacks, actually. Jacks plus ace king. I'm not doing it ace queen for sure, not doing it 10, so those are definite folds. Jacks is kind of more borderline. Queens and ace king is like a definite called 4-bet. And when this person here flats the cold 4-bet, he should have a strong range. When this person 5-bet jams into two players who've put in 20 big blinds each, this has to be nutted. Like, it really should just be kings plus. Because you have to beat my cold 4-bet range, right? And queens doesn't beat that, neither does ace king, but kings kind of does, and aces does, obviously. This has to be strong. So when I reshove, I'm representing just aces, and this person has to reshove just aces. Like, this is a hand where we've gotten to such a ridiculous point of strength that everyone should really only have aces. Apart from this guy who might have kings, you know. But he calls anyway. If I can show both of their hands, I'm sure there's a way to do it. Before the flop's dealt? Alright, well, we'll get to see them at the end anyway. Obviously, I had aces. And these guys end up having hands that are worse than kings plus. I mean, they're kind of reasonable. Like, this guy's got jacks and this guy's got queens. But the way the action went down, neither of these players should be getting it all in pre-flop. Like, this person should have kings plus and this person should just have aces. If I was in this guy's spot with jacks, I would not flat the cold 4-bet. I would just fold pre. And that's the difference between me and maybe another 5-0 reg. I'm trying to advance, and you have to recognise that at 5-0 Zoom, cold 4-bets and like 5-bet shoves are just nutted. You just can't be calling off here with jacks. It's just burning money. You're going to run into kings plus so much. So much. This person 5-bet shoving queens is slightly loose as well for the same reason. It should really be kings plus. Yeah. If this situation was reversed, I would not be losing my entire stack here. But I am still somehow gaining an entire stack, at least when I have aces. So, just like the way the action goes, I end up winning overall. Because if I was on this side, I win, but if I was on that side, I lose the minimum, which is pretty good. Anyway, I scooped that thanks to the ace in the river. I mean, that jack on the flop had me really scared, not gonna lie. Okay, let's go through this hand. Let's go to raise, and I 3-bet, ace-jack suited. Goes back to the original raiser, he calls. Flop comes ace-jack deuce, which is really nice. Check, and I see that my entire range for a third pot. My opponent calls, turns to 7, kind of a blank, brings in a backdoor flush draw. Opponent checks to me. Typically, I would bet like 55% pot here, but because we are slightly deeper, I want to bet slightly larger to set up a nice river shove, so I bet 2/3 pot. Still a reasonable size, just a little bit bigger. Opponent calls, and we can pretty comfortably put him on some kind of flush draw, like, you know, King 10 of diamonds, King Queen of diamonds, King Jack of diamonds, Queen Jack of diamonds, those kinds of hands. Maybe like 8-7 of diamonds as well. And he'll also have like Ace Queen, sometimes Ace King. Some people don't 4-bet Ace King. So Ace King, Ace Queen, maybe Ace Jack himself, maybe Ace 10. River completely bricks off. Our opponent checks to us. He's got $5 behind and the pot's already 433, so we just shove. This is a really nice spot to shove as well, because from our opponent's perspective, we can have a bunch of busted diamond draws. And because the flush draw's bricked, he might see me as likely to bluff off those flush combinations. In reality, I'm probably not, which is kind of funny, but yeah, I'm probably just jamming the nutted hands. I'm completely unbalanced here, self-admitted. We get called off though by Ace Queen. Nice result. I remember he actually tanked his entire time bank before calling it off, and in my opinion, this is a completely losing call. Even if this guy thought I was bluffing off with flush combinations, his Queen of Diamonds blocks those. So he has to be really optimistic about my bluff combinations if he has the Queen of Diamonds. Like, what am I really bluffing with? Like King Queen offsuit with the King of Diamonds? Maybe. I mean, it's possible, I guess, but it's just, yeah, can't be doing that too often. Okay, this hand. This was quite an interesting spot. We get a deep 4-bet pot. So I open aces, get min 3-bet, get cold called, and it's on me. I have to decide what size to make the 4-bet. Because we got min 3-bet, I'm going to size larger, and because there's a cold call, I'm going to size even larger. So I'll make it 120. 4x the 3x. Sorry, 4x the 3-bet. Get a call, and this guy calls as well. So, I mean, these guys are probably just fish, because I have no idea what kind of ranges these guys have. This guy cold called the min 3-bet, then called the large 4-bet. This guy just, I don't know, min 3-bet, then calls the 4-bet. He's probably got a somewhat solid range. This guy probably has a somewhat solid range, just a lot weaker. Face a flop of 6-3 deuce. Checks to me. First impressions of this flop is that it's a beautiful flop because all of the villain's overpairs, like 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, are going to continue for multiple bets. We have aces without the ace of spades, so if they have ace king, ace queen, ace jack of spades, they will also continue a lot. So I size very exploitatively. In 4-bet pots, heads up, you should really bet your entire range 25% if you have the nutted advantage, which you do in 4-bet pots a lot of the time. But here, we're multi-way, and we're against two likely fishy players, so I just size up. Like completely shamelessly, just sizing up to try and set up the turn jam and get the most value out of something like queens or a nut flush draw. Our villain here calls, this guy folds. Turn is a jack, which is a neutral card. I mean, his jacks obviously get there to top set. Some of his ace jack of spades improve to top pair and a flush draw. But we obviously have a pot size bet left, and against a fish, I want to try and capture all the EV right here, right now. Give his queens the chance to call it off before a king rolls off on the river, you know, or before a spades rolls off. This guy tanks and tanks and tanks before making the fold, which is unfortunate for us, but still a very large win. We basically won an entire stack there, even though we didn't get the last 1.5 buy-ins. Villain probably had like 10s, or maybe ace queen of spades and was considering calling off. And the last hand, the very last hand of the session. Open, call, we 3-bet squeeze kings. Original raiser folds and the cold caller calls. So this is quite interesting because it's not the original raiser, which means he doesn't have any traps pre-flop really. Well, he might, but he doesn't have. He has a range that would cold call, not 3-bet, but is willing to call a cold 3-bet. So fairly strong, but very capped. Flop comes 7-4 deuce. Again, another beautiful flop because his overpairs like 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks will continue for multiple bets. Also, we are so deep. We are fucking deep. So something interesting to know as well. Because we're so deep, I really do have to be careful with kings. If we do end up getting $20 in post-flop, it will be because I'm behind. If I have kings, like quite frankly, that's how deep we are. So our opponent checks to us, we see bet a third pot, and we get check raised, which is alarming. It's always alarming to get check raised in the 3-bet pot. Villain could have some kind of flush draw. He could have 7s. He could have 4s. You know, he has sets a lot of the time here. But he has flush draws. Some players might have like 8s, 9s, 10s and think they're protecting. So for that reason, I believe we do have to continue. So we do. Deuce of Hearts, pretty bad card. It's good in that it eliminates pocket 2s by 2 combinations, but it's bad in that it brings in all of his flush draws that he was bluffing with, if he was bluffing with them. Opponent continues, and at this point, I think it's a pretty easy give up. Like, just fold, because, I mean, what, is he really going to do this with 8s, 9s, 10s? After we've shown that we have got a strong hand to his flop raise, it's more likely he's continuing comfortably with a flush draw, or flush, sorry, not a flush draw, like a flush or just a boat, you know? He has so many strong hands, and we have close to no equity. We need 28%, right? Rivering a king is 5%, 4.5% of the time, so just giving it up there, and I think that's completely fine. Okay, those are the 4 pretty big hands of the session. I've got some pretty nice news, actually, following that. So, this was the session. We obviously ran really hot, winning at 60 big blinds per 100 over 1,000 hands. If we zoom out, we've reached $93.12 over 35,546 hands. Along with some cash back, rake back, however you want to call it, our bankroll is now at $201. We've successfully crushed 5NL. We've won 20 buy-ins. So we get to move up to 10NL, and I cannot wait to start trying to play 10NL. Obviously, at first, it's going to be a shot take. If we lose 2 buy-ins, we're going to go down to 5NL again, but I'm just so excited. It seems like we've just moved from 2NL to 5NL to 10NL so quickly. Just a quick review of my stats. I might do a more in-depth one in another video, but basically we've won at 5.24 big blinds per 100. We paid a shitload of rake. We've paid $100, $114 in rake. So I won $93, which is 5 big blinds per 100. The rake is like 6.5 big blinds per 100, 7 big blinds per 100. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that's where all the rake back would have come from, right? Fairly low standard deviation overall, as you'd expect in a 5NL zoom, in a zoom environment. But yeah, winning at 5 BB per 100 after that really nice session where we just won with the aces. Bringing our win rate up above the 5 BB per 100, fairly solid, but I believe I've still got loads of room to work with. I know that it's possible for some people to crush at over 10 BB per 100 even in a zoom environment, so I want to aspire to be that good. Alright, maybe I'll improve myself in the 10NL, or maybe it'll get tougher, you know. But anyway, I will see you there. Peace.